beginning. The storm came out of nowhere. One moment the sky above the mountains was calm, painted in fading orange light as the sun prepared to disappear behind the jagged peaks. The next moment, thunder rolled across the valley like an angry beast waking from sleep. I had been hiking alone for hours. My name is Daniel Mercer, and solitude had always been something I enjoyed. As a wildlife photographer, I spent most of my time exploring remote places where humans rarely visited. But that evening, I had gone farther into the mountains than usual. When the rain started, it didn't fall gently. It poured. Within minutes, the narrow trail turned into a slippery path of mud and water. Lightning flashed across the sky, revealing towering cliffs and dark forests around me. I checked my GPS device. No signal. Perfect, I muttered. Thunder cracked again, louder this time. I needed shelter. As I hurried along the rocky hillside, my flashlight beam caught something unusual, a dark opening carved into the mountain. A cave. Better than drowning in rain, I said to myself. I rushed inside just as the storm intensified. Water cascaded down the mountain, behind me like a waterfall. Inside, the cave was deeper than I expected. Cold air drifted through the tunnel, carrying a strange metallic scent. I pulled off my soaked jacket and sat near the entrance, listening to the rain hammer against the rocks outside. For a few minutes, everything felt normal. Then I heard something. A sound from deeper inside the cave. Not the drip of water. Not the echo of wind. A movement. My body stiffened. Hello. I called cautiously. No response. I grabbed my flashlight and aimed the beam deeper into the darkness. The cave tunnel curved to the right, disappearing beyond a cluster of rocks. Another sound came. A faint, soft whisper. But it wasn't a human voice. It sounded melodic. Curious and slightly nervous, I slowly walked deeper into the cave. The air felt warmer the farther I went. Then I saw something glowing. A pale blue light pulsed faintly from behind the rocks. My heart began to race. When I stepped around the corner, the flashlight nearly slipped from my hand. Someone was there. Or rather, something. She was sitting on the ground, leaning against the cave wall. A woman, but not human. Her skin shimmered faintly, like silver under moonlight. Long strands of dark violet hair flowed down her shoulders, and her eyes glowed softly with a deep blue light. She looked injured. For a moment, we simply stared at each other. Neither of us moved. Then she spoke. But the words weren't English. They sounded like music. Soft, flowing sounds that echoed gently through the cave. I slowly raised my hands. Hey, it's okay, I said. She tilted her head slightly, studying me with cautious curiosity. Despite the strained situation, one thing was clear. She was scared and hurt. As my eyes adjusted to the dim glow of the cave, I noticed something else. Behind her lay a piece of metallic wreckage partially buried in rock and dust. It looked like part of a machine. A ship. My mind struggled to process the realization. An alien spacecraft had crashed into the mountain, and the woman in front of me was its pilot. She tried to stand but winced in pain and collapsed back against the wall. Don't move, I said instinctively. Of course, she didn't understand the words, but she seemed to understand the tone. Slowly, I approached her. Her glowing eyes followed every movement carefully. Up close, I noticed delicate patterns across her skin, thin lines of light running along her arms like glowing veins. They pulsed softly, like energy flowing beneath her skin. I crouched beside her. Her leg looked injured. A deep cut glowed faintly with a strange blue liquid. Alien blood. I removed the small first aid kit from my backpack. She watched closely as I opened it. I'm going to help, I said gently. She blinked slowly, as if trying to understand. When I carefully cleaned the wound, she flinched but didn't pull away. The blue liquid slowed, and I wrapped the injury with gauze. It probably wouldn't work the same way on alien biology, but it was the best I could do. After a moment, she looked at the bandage curiously. Then she looked at me. For the first time, her expression softened. She spoke again, her voice melodic. This time, a small device around her neck lit up. A few seconds later, the device produced a translated voice. You are not hostile. The words were slow and mechanical, but understandable. I blinked in surprise. You have a translator? She nodded slightly. I am called Lyra. Daniel, I replied. She repeated the name slowly. Daniel. Another rumble of thunder echoed through the cave. Lyra glanced toward the entrance. The storm interferes with communication signals, she explained. Your ship crashed? I asked. Yes. Her eyes dimmed slightly. Navigation systems damaged. She pointed weakly toward the wreckage. My vessel attempted emergency landing. That explained the metal debris. I looked closer at the strange technology scattered across the cave floor. Smooth silver surfaces, glowing symbols, pieces unlike anything built on Earth. What happens now? I asked. Lyra hesitated before answering. My people will search for me, but they cannot detect my signal while the storm continues. I leaned back against the cave wall. Outside, the rain still roared like a river. Well, I said, looks like we're stuck here together. Lyra studied me silently for several seconds. Then she asked something unexpected. Why did you help me? The question caught me off guard. I shrugged. You were hurt. Her glowing eyes narrowed slightly, as if analyzing the simplicity of the answer. In my world, she said slowly, unknown species are treated with caution. Humans do that too, I replied. But sometimes helping someone is easier than fearing them. For a moment, the cave fell silent again. But something had changed. The tension between us had faded. Hours passed as the storm continued outside. We talked, slowly, carefully through the translator. Lyra told me she came from a distant star system many light years away. She was part of an exploration fleet studying new planets. Earth had been marked as a developing world not yet ready for open contact. So technically, I said, you weren't supposed to meet me. Correct, Lyra replied. Her glowing eyes shimmered slightly. But circumstances changed. I laughed softly. That's one way to put it. At some point during the night, the storm finally began to weaken. But a new problem appeared. A faint red light blinked on the damaged ship behind her. Lyra saw it immediately. Her expression turned serious. That is not good. What is it? The vessel's energy core. She looked toward the wreckage. It is becoming unstable. My stomach tightened. You mean it might explode? She nodded slowly. Yes. Climax. The cave suddenly felt much smaller. How long do we have? I asked. Lyra checked the glowing symbols on a small device. Approximately 2 hours. 2 hours before an alien reactor exploded inside a mountain. Fantastic. Can it be stopped? She hesitated. Possibly. But the control module is damaged. She tried to stand again. This time, she succeeded, though her injured leg made it difficult. I must access the core chamber, she said. I grabbed my flashlight. Then let's do it. The deeper section of the cave had partially collapsed when the ship crashed. Large rocks blocked parts of the tunnel. Beyond them, the remaining structure of the alien vessel glowed with flickering lights. The interior looked like something from a dream. Curved walls, floating panels, strange symbols moving across translucent screens. Lyra moved quickly despite her injury. She opened a small hatch in the center of the ship. Inside, a sphere of bright blue energy pulsed violently. The unstable core. Lyra connected a small device to the control port. For a moment, nothing happened. Then sparks burst from the console. "Damage is extensive," she said. "What do we do?" She looked at me. "There is another option." I didn't like the sound of that. "What option?" "The core can be manually ejected. And that's bad because—" She pointed deeper into the cave tunnel. "The ejection path leads outside." "So, we throw it out?" "Yes." "That sounds good." Lyra shook her head. "Someone must carry the core to the launch point." And she met my eyes. The radiation would be fatal. The cave went silent again. I stared at the glowing sphere. Then back at her. "You're saying one of us has to carry that thing outside?" "Yes." I rubbed my face. "Fantastic." Lyra stepped forward. "I will do it. You're already injured. This is my responsibility." I thought about it for only a few seconds.
"No."
She looked surprised. "I'll do it. Daniel. You have a ship to fix and a species waiting for you." I lifted the small containment device from the console. The blue light inside pulsed stronger. "Besides," I said, forcing a smile, "I'm the local expert on caves." Lyra grabbed my arm. Her glowing eyes looked almost emotional. "You risk your life for someone you met only hours ago." "Maybe," I replied. "Or maybe I just hate explosions." Then I turned and ran toward the cave exit. The storm had nearly ended, but rain still fell lightly across the mountains. The launch device Lyra gave me began to beep rapidly. "Throw it as far as possible," her voice echoed through the translator. I reached the edge of the cliff outside the cave. The mountains stretched endlessly below. The device beeped faster. I took a deep breath and threw the core into the valley. A few seconds later, a brilliant flash lit the sky. The explosion echoed across the mountains like thunder. Ending. When I returned to the cave, Lyra was waiting. The ship's lights had stabilized. "You survived," she said quietly. "Barely," I replied. She walked toward me slowly. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then she said something I didn't expect. "My people will arrive soon. So, this is goodbye?" "Yes." A soft blue glow filled the cave as a distant starship descended silently from the clouds. Lyra looked at me one last time. "You showed me something today." "What's that?" "That compassion exists even among unknown worlds." I smiled slightly. "Humans aren't all bad." She reached out and gently touched my hand. Her skin glowed warmly. "Perhaps one day, our worlds will meet again." Then she turned and walked toward the light. The alien rescue ship lifted silently into the sky. Within seconds, it vanished among the stars. I stood alone outside the cave. The storm was gone. The sky was clear. And somewhere out there, beyond the stars, an alien woman named Lyra would remember the human she met while hiding from the rain in a cave.